The brief for the BBC Christmas campaign this year was about oneness. It's been a running concept throughout the year with these Martin Parr Idents where people have had a shared experience. But this time obviously the shared experience being Christmas.
The truth in the film was parents are being pushed in all directions, and you know, children sometimes get a little bit upset because they think their parents don't care about them, and actually they do, and they're fully aware.
From day one, we always had this girl in mind. That was the sort of whirlwind of dance. And it was always a single dad. We were considering whether she should be a mother, we're considering whether she should be a double parented, but there's something quite unique in depicting a dad and a daughter relationship, and it seems to have gone down really well.
Obviously, I am Asian myself. My parents weren't born here. I was born in Scotland, and we've always celebrated Christmas. The sort of experience of Christmas was that we sort of kind of channeled into this ad was my own. So it was how I experienced the holiday and how I interacted with it and how my parents interacted with it. Obviously, it's stop motion mixed with CGI faces.
You see yourself in that supermarket and you can see yourself on that high street. It's just normal Britain. And when you bring that to life in miniature form, all of a sudden it becomes magical. You don't have to make the thing itself magical because the way it's brought to life is going to be magical.
What I like to push for is when we did the school, he didn't leave any detail sort of uncovered. He looked at, for example, the benches. It was those long wooden benches with the little metal kind of hooks at the end. The school gym floor had those little kind of plimsoll scuff marks in them. There was mats, there was everything, so he just went sort of, to the nines with the detail.
Just wanna be part of your
Me and Amor actually had this song really early on an animatic, and it actually works really well. For some reason it got lost, and we did all of this music searches to try and find a track, and we must have put hundreds of tracks on this thing, like you always do. Like you just go through the process trying to find a track, and then landed back on this track that we had at the start.
What the music producer Steve did was he took the song and used it in the narrative elements. So, for example, in a lot of Pixar films, what they do is they use music to sort of kind of support the narrative. So it's a sad moment, the sort of music will reflect that. And basically what was really interesting is what he did was he used the track Symphony by Zara Larsson and Clean Bandit to sort of inform those emotional points.
When the flyer drops down at the end and there's this sort of sad bit that comes, you don't hear the last note, he just cuts you off, so you're left with the feeling of going, oh God, when you move into the last bit. And it's just, when he did that, you're like, yeah, that's the professional work. The fact that it's done this well makes us proud to work at BBC Creative because, it's the first really big thing out of the blocks. It's just the starting point of the journey that we're on. What's really key is that when you read tweets from like normal people who just goes, I cried at this thing, or I love it, I can see my daughter in that. That's the cool stuff. Like you're actually not making a difference, but you're making people feel something, and that's what the whole thing is there for. We're not just making a film for people within the industry. We're actually making a film for what BBC One is, which is this sort of bright channel that touches everyone at Christmas. I think that's the key thing.